There's news about certainly probably the most famous World Cup of them all. That's the football FIFA World Cup, and that sort of kind of quietly slipped under the carpet. That is the news that the 2030 Football World Cup hosts have been confirmed, and it's well officially Morocco, Spain, and Portugal have been named as the hosts of the 2030 World Cup. But because it is the centenary, it's the 100th anniversary of the first World Cup in 1930, which was held in Uruguay. Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay will in fact host the opening matches. So, in short, it's a bit befuddled, but I can, it's a bit. It reminds me of the original idea of for Euro 2020, which was to mark the 60th anniversary of the European Football Championships. But yes, it's certainly going to be an expensive one for football fans. Certainly, I doubt anyone's going to be able to see all the games. Now, I do apologize if I sound like Robocop here and start sputtering because I've got a bit of a cold and been on holiday for a week, so that's why I've sort of been a bit quiet. But do check out my other videos about Penrith and oh yeah, I did one about Wellington, which kind of aged like warm milk because they lost to Hawke's Bay. But so yeah, so Morocco, Spain, and Portugal will are effectively the hosts of the the 2030 Football World Cup will bear Morocco, Spain, and Portugal's name. But Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay, obviously FIFA have always wanted to honor the fact that Uruguay hosted the inaugural World Cup in 1930, and of course they won that tournament. So they will, but they FIFA have always wanted to have some event in South America, or certainly in Uruguay at least, to commemorate that. And that's why you have this weird scenario where with we have six hosts hosting the World Cup, and they're separated by the Atlantic Ocean. Although, what Uruguay, Argentina, Paraguay, so this will be a one and done deal. So, look. I mean, it would have been nice if they held the whole tournament in Uruguay, but of course, Uruguay is a very small country, and look, there's the economic situation in South America is abundantly clear that that Uruguay was never going to be able to host certainly a 48 team tournament. Next door neighbor Argentina also is in a far worse economic situation by comparison. So, and certainly, as you know, Argentina's economy is a bit of a basket case at the moment, and Paraguay is one of the poorest countries in South America. So, it was never going to be the case that much as they would have liked to 23rd, it was never going to be wholly hosted in Uruguay, and it was not, a shared Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay deal was not really going to happen. I guess you also got to consider it was only come 2030, it would have been only 16 years since the World Cup was in South America, and of course, it was held in Brazil. So Morocco, Spain, and Portugal makes perfect sense. They are reasonably, they are right next to each other. There's a lot of diplomatic, a lot of transport connections, so it makes perfect sense to have it there. And of course, Spain, Portugal, and Morocco will have the finances to host it. I guess, yeah, look, I mean, Morocco had that huge earthquake in Marrakesh, in southern Morocco, where lots of, unfortunately, thousands of people died. But look, hopefully they'll have the infrastructure in place by 2030. And look, the Moroccan economy is reasonably strong. I anticipate something like hosting the World Cup will be able to rejuvenate the economy. Spain already has the facilities. Look, I mean, it'd be interesting to see who hosts the World Cup final. Whereas, that will be it's probably going to be a bit of a battle between Barcelona and Madrid. Of course, the Bernabeu and Bernabeu's just been updated. The new Nou Camp should be ready by then. So we shall see if it's Barcelona, Madrid hosting the World Cup final. Maybe even Lisbon, although I think they might probably end up going with Madrid and Barcelona because of capacity. Madrid and Barcelona are much bigger than Lisbon, even if Lisbon does have a fantastic stadium in the Estadio de Luz. So I think the other thing that this bit would have appealed to most, I think, is the fact that Morocco is a Muslim country. They had a really, of course, if you recall last year, they made it all the way they became the first African nation to reach the semifinals of the World Cup. Look, I mean, as you know, there is that big elephant in the room with football, which is Saudi Arabia, and they've been clamoring to host the World Cup. Personally, I'm glad it's not going to Saudi Arabia because there's no way that Saudi Arabia was going to host a World Cup in June, July. Same reason why Qatar couldn't host. They had to move the World Cup to winter in July for Qatar. And really, I think we've had enough of winter World Cups because it's so disruptive to the club season. Morocco is still going to be pretty hot in summer, though. So will be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, I'm sure they're not going to move the. I doubt they're going to move the world. I doubt there will be any World Cups moved to winter unless for the really powerful political financial reasons. So we shall see what happens here. So this is the news. This is the news about the 2030 FIFA World Cup. 48 teams. You think New Zealand should be there, unless there's a sudden dramatic change in qualification rules. It is funny to think it is 7 years away. So maybe I guess giving it to Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. Who Spain, Portugal already have the football infrastructure. So it'd be interesting to see in terms of what stadiums, what cities host games. Of course, when you have three countries, the likes of smaller places like Elche, Alicante, like they did in the 1982 World Cup when Spain hosted it. Are quite remote in terms of hosting games. I think you'd probably see like the likes of Madrid, Barcelona, Seville, Valencia, Lisbon or Porto, all hosting games. I'm not particularly familiar with the stadium they have in Morocco, so I won't really comment there. But certainly I expect they'll be like in places like Casablanca, Rabat, even Marrakesh. And again, that's going to be interesting because I am certainly expecting they will have to air condition those stadiums if they're going to host games in June, July. So let me know your thoughts. 2030 World Cup. It will be the first. We'll certainly have the most hosts in history with 6 technically. So we shall see what happens. And look, if you like this video, feel free to like and please do subscribe as we get this channel up and going.